I think we talked about the receivers. I'm gonna hit you with a question. Um, BYOG or sell? We're going to be talking more about Cole Turner at the end of the season than Adam Randall. BYOG or sell?
Ooh, I'm gonna sell. I'm gonna sell. Um, Not because I don't believe in Cole Turner or his ability to be an impact player for Clemson this year, but that's how much I think about Adam Randall and the season that he's about to have. I really do think Adam Randall's about to have his breakout season. Um, so for that reason, I will sell. But make no mistake, I 100% believe Cole Turner will be a big contributor for this team this season. He will. You will see his effect on the field in various ways this season.
Yeah, I'm with you. I wanted to hit you with that question because we've talked about this receiver room, and we think the two biggest wild cards are are those two. From Adam Randall, just the uber talent that he has from a physical standpoint, and what just translating that into being that true boundary, big time outside threat. And then Cole Turner, being one of arguably the fastest player on the team, and being a big play threat on his own, and him growing into the position as a third year player. Um, you know, they both, I think they have the most mobility as far as where they potentially end up in the pecking order here.
Yeah.
We could see one of them, both of them have really strong years. We could see neither one of them be all that successful, or one or the other has a big year, and none of it would surprise me.
Yeah, I think the distance between those two's floor and ceiling is the greatest,
Yeah.
obviously. So that was a good one. All right, I'm going to keep it with the wide receiver room, and I got one for you. Now, this in particular has happened for 2 straight seasons. So BYOG or sell, a freshman wide receiver will be the leading receiver come the end of 2024.
Oh,
I didn't name a name. I just said a freshman wide receiver.
yeah. I mean, there's only two.
There's
There's
only
only two you can
two,
go with, but
but I didn't want
it
to
could.
narrow it down to one. I just wanted to go with a freshman wide receiver will be Clemson's leading wide receiver in 2024.
You could, man. That's a good one because I just because I spent last week raving about. Oh man, that's a tough one because you could tell me that either one of the freshmen is Clemson's leading receiver, and I wouldn't be shocked.
Right.
But then again, I'm going to sell.
You're
But
gonna say,
just because I think Antonio Williams is going to be that good this season,
yeah,
but I've kind of set I've kind of set my mind on Antonio Williams is the guy, the go-to guy this year for Cade and for this offense, and a lot of the passing game. Between him and of course Jake Brenningstool at tight end, I think that they're going to drive a lot of the opportunities that everybody else gets. So
yeah,
I'm going to sell, but I would not be shocked if Bryant Wesco or TJ Moore was Clemson's leading receiver, this year. But I'm buying into the Antonio Williams hype. I we know what he is when he's healthy,
absolutely.
and the fact that he's even better. I I can't pass on that. I got to go with Antonio Williams.
Yeah, I'm 100% with you. I would sell on that as well for the exact same reason, and that is Antonio Williams. There's a reason when we did our wild card segment that Antonio Williams was my wild card. Everybody's forgotten about Antonio Williams um, up until Dabo Swinney started talking about him, right? And kind of hyped him up and said how well he was doing. But we all know what Antonio Williams is capable of, and just hearing the how he's attacked this offseason in preparation for the upcoming season, I'm 100% on board with you. I think he's going to be the go-to guy this season for the Clemson offense. But again, it would not surprise me. I thought it was it's been 2 seasons in a row that freshmen have been the leading wide receiver. So
Yeah.
I don't think it's year number 3, but we'll see.
It could happen. Ronald says,
it could happen, but I don't
yeah,
think.
yeah. Ronald says sell if so we're in trouble. I disagree. I mean, I don't think a freshman coming in and being your leading receiver is the worst thing in the world. Maybe go back to the 2018 college football season and go look at the receiving statistics. Just let me know who you find and what year they were.
Yeah.
Having a freshman be your leading receiver, it doesn't really tell you much, especially because I think receiver is such a unique position as far as like there are some receivers that come in and are just that flat out that good. That a lot of guys, especially when you have these 5-star, a lot of them are really easy to plug and play. It's a very easy. It's one of the easier positions to transition from high school to college because it really is just about your traits and your athleticism. You can't teach speed and you can't teach like route running and stuff like that and the nuances, sure. But if you're good enough and you are a good enough athlete, you're going to play at most places. And so, especially if you're a 5-star, there's not many schools that are just out here holding, holding their 5-star receivers, unless you're like Ohio State and you just get like 3 of them every cycle. So like, I don't think that's necessarily instructive. If like Bryant Wesco or TJ Moore ends up being Clemson's leading receiver, I don't think that's instructive about how good the offense was. So I don't think so. I don't think that's necessarily the case. He says that those freshmen were good because we had a generational quarterback. Don't think we have one. I don't think those two things are related. If we're talking about, you think Justin Ross wasn't that good, or are you saying that Justin Ross just flat out wasn't that good and he was a product of having a great quarterback, or what? I mean, I'm not sure what you're saying, because Justin Ross would have gone anywhere in the country and been really, really good, especially when he was healthy. So I don't think so. I don't think that. I'm not, because I made the comparison to 2018, not to say that, if a freshman leads the team in receiving, we're going to win a national championship. I'm saying that, a freshman being your best receiver is not necessarily instructive about how good your receiver room is or how good your offense is, because some of them are just flat out, some of them flat out are just that good. I think Jeremiah Smith at Ohio State is that type of player where, like, I think he's going to be their leading receiver because he's just that. Especially, I think he's one of the better receiver prospects in the last few years. So, not every freshman receiver is created equal, but I'm saying that, I don't think it's necessarily, you have to have a generational quarterback, and Ohio State certainly doesn't have a generational quarterback this year. Well, I wouldn't categorize Will Howard as that, but I think, Jeremiah Smith is that good. And I think that both Bryant Wesco and TJ Moore have not that sort of potential, but they have the potential to be Clemson's best receiver and it not be a product of the rest of the guys that weren't what we had hoped they would be. It's that those guys are just that good. But that's me. But I don't think that, that would be a terrible thing. All right, sorry, that was a long-winded one. It's my turn, right?
Yep, your turn.
Okay. That was the only one I had prepared. The first one was the only one I had prepared, so I got to think about it. I'm going to, BYOG or sell. David Ajumame factors his way into the running back rotation this year.
I'm going to go buy. BYOG. I'll buy that David Ajumame somehow works his way into a significant playing role this season, I think. Excuse me. We talked about it in the past. There's an obvious hole to be filled by someone not named Phil Maffa, right? Obviously, we know what we have at RB1. I think there's a kind of jumble of backs after Phil Maffa. Jay Haynes is one that we've talked about on length on this channel, and he just hasn't been healthy. And he got banged up again in the spring. So it gives me pause to kind of, although I think his talent and his skill set lines up perfectly to be that change of pace back for Phil Maffa. I just don't know if he's going to stay healthy. So I could certainly see a guy like Easy E working his way into that rotation and making a little noise this year. So I will go BYOG on Easy E.
Okay, I'm on the sell side of things, but I'm really intrigued because he had the biggest like curve to get through, as far as him coming in. But being an early enrollee, I think absolutely helped him a ton. So I'm really intrigued to see kind of how what we hear about him in fall camp, because I know reading the tea leaves, it feels like if they can redshirt him that they would. But if he does make that leap, is he like? I mean, I don't expect him to be like a major player, but I mean, as another change of pace back, like I don't know, wouldn't surprise me.
I'm not saying he's going to be like second on the team in carries, but
right,
he could definitely play a role this season.
Yeah. And because we've talked about what they like about Keith Adams and what the potential Jay Haynes has, and those two seem to be the ones that are kind of standing in the way of him getting real playing time.
Right.
But I don't know. It just, especially since we can't rely on Jay Haynes' health as of now, and
right.
I don't know. Keith Adams is kind of I mean, he doesn't, as far as a change of pace, it's not as drastic as maybe some of the other guys. So I don't know if things break his way, it wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, I could see it happening. A couple commenters are talking about Jarvis Green as well, and that's obviously an option.
I'm not as sure. I think the thing with Jarvis is that I'm not. I think he's a very natural at the position. They have talked about it ad nauseum, but obviously the big question with him was always the speed. It just wasn't. It's not great. And so I just, we haven't seen him a ton, carry the football a ton at Clemson. So we really don't have anything to go off of. I loved him in high school, and I thought it was a nice late take, because he's just a very good football player.
Mm-hmm.
But if some of the other guys bring a better athletic profile, will they actually give him an opportunity? I don't know. Yeah, at least not this year. But maybe down. I think a little farther down the line, I could see him factoring in. But I don't know. We'll see. And it doesn't help that you've got Gideon Davidson coming next year too. So I don't know. We'll see. I'm not sure about the long-term prospects for Jarvis. As far as him being a actual contributor for Clemson, but we'll see. Your turn.
All right. I got one. So I'm gonna move over to the defensive side of the ball and leave the offense there for a little bit. And I'm gonna go to sack totals this season. Okay. So there were two guys tied for sacks on the defense last season. And that was actually, it was two guys tied for sacks last season. That was Jeremiah Trotter and TJ Parker.
Yep.
Followed by, I think, Ruka Rororo and then Barrett Carter. Yep. So Jeremiah and TJ Parker each had 5.5 sacks apiece last season. So BYOG or sell. I think this is going to come down to maybe Barrett Carter and TJ Parker, but BYOG or sell. TJ Parker leads the Tigers in sacks come the end of 2024.
Oh,
now remember, you got Peter Woods over there.
Yeah, you got Peter Woods over there.
You got Barrett Carter.
Eric Carter. Wade Woodaz is I don't think
Wade Woodaz is an athlete.
He brings as a pass rusher.
Yep. They've talked a lot about Jaheim Lawson, his pass rush ability. So maybe he could be some sort of pass rush specialist this season. But
I'm going to say BYOG. I'm going to say BYOG, but I think, I didn't, it wasn't great hearing the stuff about TJ Parker this offseason. As far as kind of getting out of shape and stuff. So I hope he's, I hope he's fully corrected that. I know that's something Chris Rump, got on him for.
Yeah, locked back in. Yeah.
But if he's locked in this year, then absolutely. I mean, he showed a lot of promise as a freshman. He's not perfect, but I think year two. You have to expect that improvement as long as he stays healthy. So yeah, I'm going to BYOG because I just think he's going to get the most snaps, I think, of anybody at the position.
Yeah.
And he really is a natural pass rusher. Just pretty. He was pretty far ahead, for true freshman last year, and that improvement. You can only expect him to get better, especially with a new position coach that I think has a lot of experience with guys like him. So, yeah, I'll say BYOG, but it wouldn't surprise me if it was. It wouldn't surprise me if it was Barrett. It definitely wouldn't surprise me if it was Barrett Carter. Wouldn't surprise me if it was Peter Woods. And Wade Woodaz, I think, like I said, Wade Woodaz, I think, factors into that a lot more than I think people realize. I mean, he's a really good pass rusher.
Yeah, I don't know if Wade Woodaz gets enough love.
Yeah,
gets the love that he deserves. He's a heck of a football player, man. He's just everywhere. He's all over the place. He's relentless in his pursuit of the football.
And him playing at Mike, and kind of being more, in the box, I think definitely will give him some more opportunities as well. So, yeah, I think that's exciting.